I was watching Oprah Winfrey, the talk show, and there were many couples who were attending the show that night. She started asking some of them how long they had been married. Some were married for 20 years, some were married for 30 years, and some had been married for 50 or 70 years. I was watching in surprise. I was probably 12 years old at that time, and my parents were going through a divorce. I was looking at those couples who had been married for so long, and I was wondering, how did they do it? How lucky? How peaceful their life must be. And some of them really looked very comfortable with each other. And while I was looking at them in surprise and wondering how they made it, how did their marriage work, suddenly a thought came to my mind. A bigger question. Are they going to Jannah? Are they going to Jannah? And I was unable to think of anything else. I suddenly stopped thinking about how long they had been married together or how successful their marriage was. And I started thinking, are they going to be in Jannah? Just because their marriage worked, they made their marriage work, are they going to be in Jannah? The more I thought about it, the more it became clear that if they do not believe in one God, if they do not believe in the prophethood of the prophets, all the prophets, especially the seal of prophethood, how can they go to Jannah? Because that is the ultimate criterion. So, although here I was a moment ago joyously looking at them, feeling happy for them that they made it. And how did they make it work? How did they make their marriage work? That was the wonder in my head, in my 12-year-old mind. I was just puzzled that how does somebody make their marriage work for so long? But all of a sudden, I was taken aback. Because even if you have a very successful marriage, it does not guarantee you Jannah. And being a believer, the only thing that matters is what happens on the other side. What happens in Jannah. Ultimately, that is what matters. And even though they had been married for 30, 40 or 70 years, there was no guarantee that they have been awarded paradise, that they are going to Jannah together. And we have one such example in the Quran. We have Surah Lahab or Surah Masad also, as it is called. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. And it mentions his wife as well. It is said that they were a very celebrated couple. They were a so-called happily ever after couple. But what is this happily ever after? It doesn't mean that you will have a happy ever after if you have a successful marriage. Who created this? And this is something that became a belief system, and it has started hurting us more and more because we have started believing that true success lies in the success of a relationship. any relationship. But if we study history and if we look at the history of religions, we realize how the relationships are sacrificed when somebody chooses the path of God. So I believe that in that brief moment when I tried to feel happy for them, and all of a sudden I became sad for them, happy that they were successful and they made it, and they have a successful marriage, and sad that they may not make it to Jannah. In that moment, I realized that even if you have a broken marriage, it does not mean you're not successful. It does not mean anything in Akhirah. As long as you're not the one who was unjust, as long as you're the one who played fair, you don't have to worry. So we should not make the ending of a marriage, of a relationship, we should not take it as the end of the world. We should not base all our happiness, all our existence, it should not revolve around this fact, whether our marriage is successful or not. We should maintain our identity and our connection with God. That should always come first. God should always be the first love. God should always be our first love. And that should be the one love that is never forgotten. Unlike the first love of the Indian movies.